Ladies and gentlemen, if you were here 3 months ago, you saw what was perhaps our best meeting that we've had in the 2 years that we've been doing these, because we had Mr. John Graham, who is probably the most prolific house flipper in the metropolitan Detroit area. Well, John volunteered to come back and talk to us again and enlighten us some more. And today he's going to tell us exactly how he structures his calendar to be able to flip 20 plus houses per month, each and every month. So without further ado, Mr. John Graham.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
What are you guys gonna eat? Because I'm like Chris Rock, I always want one rib. So yeah, I'm gonna talk about a little bit how I structure every single day for myself. So you guys can kind of get an understanding of what it takes, and also so you can get some information on how to structure your days. So they're very, fruitful in what you're trying to do. There are people in the room that are wholesalers. All right, we got a couple wholesalers. Do we have people in the room that are looking to do like rental properties? Anybody wants to flip houses? All right. So everybody here has an agenda of what they need to do to go ahead and do what they need to do. All right. Basically, to just put it in a very simplistic way, is that if you can go into every single day and the amount of time you spend to work, let's just say it's just to make it round numbers, let's say you work 10 hours a day, okay, which is a lot. But if you're able to spend 80% of that to prospect, to do what you need to do, whether it's finding houses to wholesale, finding houses to flip, looking for rental houses, it's prospecting. That's really what it is. So if you can spend 80% of your workday prospecting, everything will work out right. And that's the most simplistic way I can tell you on how I do what I do, is that I actually do that every single day. So my preparation for that is a little bit crazy. I'm gonna tell you what it is. So I'm gonna tell you like the evening, like what I start doing in the evening. So in the evening, I typically start working out right around like 9, 10 o'clock at night. And the reason why I do that is because that's when I like to sit down and just eat. Like, oh, I worked hard today. I deserve to eat. And I just eat whatever's laying around, and I really don't want to do that because that doesn't keep me in shape well. So I keep myself occupied so I don't do that. You can always justify eating or justify anything. I always say the best salesperson is yourself. You can sell yourself into something, you can sell yourself out of something. So that's why I do that. So I work out. Then after I'm done working out, which is typically like 10, 11 o'clock at night, then I prepare my meals for the next day. So I don't have to think about that. I don't want to go, okay, what's the closest restaurant? Who can I eat with? What do I order? No, I don't want to do none of that because it wastes time. I don't want to be known for the guy that, oh man, I could go out to lunch with this cat every single day. That's not what I wanted to be known as. I want to be known as the guy that worked real hard, did real well, accomplished a lot, did good for his family, and I didn't want to do that and say I was going out to lunch or thinking about lunch or who I was going to eat with or what the closest restaurant was. So I always prepare a meal for me and my driver too as well, so he doesn't have to stop. So whenever we get a moment, we just go in our lunch bags and eat. So that saves a lot of time through my day, and that's why I do that. So I can prospect more. Plus, my prospecting is a little bit different than a typical person's prospecting. Because of the amount of business I do, it's all directed towards me. It's more of me just trying to keep up. But you guys aren't in that situation where it's just coming to you. You guys got to reach out. And when I say prospecting, it means really reaching out. Either calling, texting, messaging, emailing, or just being face-to-face physically with someone. And so if you can do that for minimal of 5 to 6 hours a day, I'm gonna tell you you're gonna meet all your goals. So then I'm all done making my meals, okay? It's typically around 11:30 at night. And I book everything through my text. A lot of people use emails. You know, I use text, and the reason why I use text is that my staff actually monitors my emails. So I don't have two separate things I have to check. Or some people have multiple emails too, where you gotta check 2 or 3 emails. Some people have 2 phones. You gotta take, you know, 2 phones and check 2 texts. I just have my 1 phone, and I do all the booking of all my appointments, and all my contacts are through my phone. So it makes it real simple for me then at 11:30 at night. And what I do is I take my phone and I have everybody that wants to make an appointment with me, wants to send me a house, because again, I buy and sell houses. So if you get in contact with me, it's going to be through my phone, and I'm going to get all the pictures and videos through my phone. I'm going to get all the information that I need through my phone. All the appointments that you book for me are through my phone. So then I sit down with my phone, and it usually takes me like a half an hour to about 40 minutes to go through my phone, write everything down, write the properties down, write the times down, write that I need to comp all these properties out. So typically through my phone on a daily basis, I have about at least 20 to 25, you know, properties that either one, I got them booked up for the next day or the following days, or I actually have them where I need to comp them out and get back with the people to say, I think I can get this one to work or not work. So anytime you send me a house, I'm definitely comping it out, and I'm definitely calling back about it. What I find is a lot of people in my position where they're buying a lot of houses and they have a lot of people contacting them and sending them things. And I think the wholesalers can, you know, really account for this, is that when you go ahead and send out a house to somebody, sometimes you just never get a reply back. Is that true? Like, you don't even know if they even seen it. Like, you don't know if they opened the email, looked at your text. And so I purposely make sure I get back with everyone that contacts me. And that's a part of being organized, and it's a part of prospecting. Because if I have people that are looking for houses, they're the people I want to be in constant contact with all day long. And if you blow them off and don't call them back, you think that they might give up soon on giving you properties.
Yep.
And you never know what the next property that may give you might be the really good deal. And you happen to just blow off their other 5 crappy properties that they got in Detroit, but to them, you gotta understand, those properties are super important to those people. That's what they're trying to work on and make money on. So at least I have the decency to call everybody back and say, hey, look, unfortunately, this one just doesn't work for me. And these are the reasons why. But if you got anything else, I wanna look at it, and I keep them in the loop instead of getting them outside of a loop where they give up on me. Because a lot of, like I say, there's a lot of people where you're just like, I know this guy buys houses. I know he does, but I can't get this guy to ever reply back to me. And then so you quit at a point. You give up at a point. You don't want to deal with that person. And that's what I try to do. So it's a part of my prospecting all day long. So anytime somebody gives me something, and sometimes, like a lot of the wholesalers, they even ask me for guidance. They're like, hey, what do you think? And I'm willing to tell them, I already researched it. I think I count for this. I saw what the pictures look like. The property's not necessarily for me, but I think you're gonna be able to sell it on the open market for this. So I think you got it at a good enough price. Or look, you just don't got it at a good enough price. I can't do anything with this, and I don't think anybody else can do anything with this. So at least I'm telling them and directing them and guiding them, so that way they call me back. Because I offer a couple things. I offer saying that, look, I research everything, and also that I can help you because this is what I think. And I never tell them that, you know, like, hey, look at this, is hopeless. I just say it's gonna be challenging, it's gonna be hard. Or look, if you lock this up at the right number, you're gonna be able to get rid of this very easily, I think. It's just not the right property for me. If it's the right property for me, I'm all over it. I'm going there to check it out, and I'm gonna bid on it immediately after I leave, because I already got it comped out prior. Okay, we'll go back to my night again. So I went through all my texts, you know, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, now it's about midnight. And there's a reason why I do all this too. And there's a reason why I do it late at night. So the next thing I do after that is I go through the multi-list. And I do a very broad search. So I search in Macomb, Oakland, Wayne County. Every single house that was listed, every single house that went back on the market, every single house that had a price change that day. And the only way I can search that day fully is by me doing it after midnight. Do you have a question?
What search engine are you using?
I use RealComp as my search engine. All right, so the reason why I do it at midnight again is that I get that full day. If I did it at 10 o'clock, I'm gonna miss 2 hours because I can't search that full day again. I'd have to go back again. You can't search just the last 2 hours. You can only search the day, not the time frame, which is crazy because with today's technology, it should be better, but the MLS system is a very old, chaotic, thing. So that's why I do it at midnight, so I get that full day search. So I search for every house or condo that's new on the market, price change, back on the market that day. In a typical spring and summer day, it's about 500. So I look at 500 properties through the MLS to see which ones are good. And also the ones that come back up on the market because I might have looked at them before. So then I put on my list to my assistant, hey, look at bid again on this thing again. Or if it's something that I want to see, I got my schedule right there and a whole bunch of stuff I wrote down, I put it in the schedule. All right? So that takes me, and I know it sounds crazy, how long do you think it takes me to search through 500 houses is the question, to see what are the good deals out of these 500 in 3 counties?
An hour and a half. 4 hours.
About a half an hour, tops. And that's 500. So it's because I know every single area in those 3 counties like the back of my hand. It's like you guys know where you live. If something came up that was a good deal, you're gonna know right away. You're gonna be like, oh my God, that's a good deal. You know what I mean? There's a whole bunch of key things I look at. It's usually just price area, price area, price area. And then when I see a low price for that area, then I start looking at the other key factors, which is, does it have a basement, garage, you know what I mean? Things like that. And you're looking through the MLS, so a lot of times they have pictures too, and if I have to key on any of that, then I look at the pictures too as well. But usually it's just price area, then basement, garage, and I can tell immediately if it's a good deal or not. So then I add those to the list too as well for the following day. Or, because there's a lot of listings called coming soons, then I figure out what days they are gonna be available to show. And a lot of times I try to sneak into those things too as well. Like if it says coming soon and they say it's, like tonight, and they say they can only show it on Saturday, I make sure I put it on my list for tomorrow. So I call the agent, I'm just like, hey, happen to be in the area, and I can look at this place, and I'm an investor, and I don't care about commission. If you get me in here, I'll let you have both sides of it. Oh man, they get real motivated to get me through there. And so if I get through there then I'm one of the few people that got through because I made the calls and they let me in, and there's a good possibility I can get that house because no one else looked at it too. So that's one of the key things that I do, and it's just something else I put on the list. So I just gave you a real helpful thing too as well to be able to do something that I do, that can get you houses too as well. All right, so now we're talking about, it's like, I don't know, say 12:30, 12:40 at night, all right? Slightly late for most of you, but that's just how I function. So then after that, what I do is I take that entire list, and then I have time frames of the people that text me all the time, and then I have the stuff that's through the MLS, and then I have the stuff that I'm going to comp out the next day, and I start really looking at it a little bit harder, and I'm like, this looks like a good deal. So I start putting the time frames right next to a wall. So I just start lining up all the times for my following day or the following days in the future if they're lined up for that. Like some people will go like, hey, Friday, I can get you in that place at 3:30. Okay, I put it on my calendar for 3:30 that day. But then I just put all the dates down for that following day. My typical day, I look at 10 plus properties every single day, and I schedule it all myself, all right? So then I put all those dates down. And then the next thing I do is that I take a picture of that list with all the time frames on it, because it's all handwritten, okay? I then send it to my assistant, and then the following morning, when I wake up right at 8 o'clock, because I typically you know, I'm in my bed somewhere around like 1-ish, okay? So after that, you know, I may, you know, watch a couple skateboard videos because I like skateboarding, whatever came out that day, and then I just go to sleep. And I'm usually exhausted, you know, because I'm doing, you've seen how much I'm doing later part of my day. That's another reason I like doing all that stuff, because I just zonk out. You know what I mean? And I got my whole schedule already prepared. So do you think I have where a lot of people have where, oh my God, tomorrow I'm going to be doing, oh, and then and this, and you keep on recycling your day before you go to sleep and you can't sleep? Oh man, mine's right there. It's done. 100% done. I can just forget about it. You know what I mean? I got it all written down. It's all got the times on it. It's got all the phone numbers I got to contact on it. Everything's there. So it makes me settle down at night so then I can sleep, because I know it's all done. And I don't have to keep on rehashing things out. You know? And even when I do the list, I do a lot of thinking. You know, I'm like thinking about, okay, what could I add to my agenda? What could I put on here? Who should I contact? Who should I call back? What didn't I do the previous day? And I look at that list to make sure I hit everybody, to make sure I didn't skip anything. So I also put that on the list too as well. So I got everything down. Got a lot of times on there. Send it off to my assistant. So then when I wake up at 8 o'clock, I got an iPad. She sends me an email. It's all gridded out. So everything I have is all gridded out for when the first appointment, all the way to the last appointment, and then everything underneath that of what I still, you know, want to contact back, all the people that gave me properties. All right, it's got all the phone numbers, it's got lock boxes, it's got my contacts, it's all in that grid. And then the other thing she does is she takes the listing or old listing or public records and has it on my iPad where I got a sheet per house. And then what I do is I download all that to my iPad to something called Good Notes. And what Good Notes are is so I actually can write right on that listing. All right? So I download it, it's 8:05. And I'm telling you, this is like, I'm like a drill sergeant with myself. All right? So it's 8:05. And then I have now 25 minutes or so to comp out like 20 or 30 properties. Now, most people are be lucky if they even comp out some in 10 minutes. I'm doing stuff in minutes, you know, like, so I comp everything out, and I gotta make sure these are right, because guess what I'm doing with these houses when I go and look at them right after I'm done? What do, you think? I'm offering on it. So could I make a mistake on comping out stuff and thing? No, I don't wanna do that. So I wanna make sure they're correct, but I work at a very fast pace. I do it every single day. So I'm comping out like 200 some properties, you know, a week. So I've been doing it for decades. So I have a really high skill level. I even tell appraisers, I comped out way more than you guys have ever even touched. You know, so I do that from basically 8:05 to about like 8, maybe 35, 8:40. All right. So then the reason I'm scrolling like that, that's how I scroll through them. So then I write the after repair value. So it's funny, like I just went to this one seminar where he's doing like how to flip like 101 type of a class, all right? And he always comes to me and he looks at me, he goes, John, what's the most important number you ever want to put on a house? What do you think the most important number to put on a house? Anybody got an answer? The most important number you put on a house is the after repaired value. If you're flipping something, it's the after repaired value, all right? Because if you know that number, you have a good bearing of what you can sell it for. You can always take a stab at a rehab. I mean, rehabs are super important numbers too. I'm not saying they're not. But yeah, that would be the second most important number. And the third most important number would be your bid. You know, what you're bidding on it. Because, you know, if you got the rehab, you got the after repair value, then you should kind of know where you need to bid at it. So I got that after repaired value. All right, so I have to see what that amount of money is on my normal houses that I flip and what it would be for that one, and that's really what my profit should be, or I shouldn't do that property, because it doesn't make a lot of sense. So like let's take that big property. Let's say it's $500,000, okay? Let's say after I'm done, it's worth $1 million, I gotta put $250 into it. That sounds great, doesn't it? All right, so I'm gonna make $250,000. on a $750,000 investment. All right, but let's take it in my perspective, because I do so many houses and I have so much opportunity. I can do, and you gotta understand, that house is gonna take twice as long to sell unless I'm lucky. So let's say it's a year, because it's gonna take me a longer time to renovate it, right? My renovation's gigantic. Now I'm in $1 million price range, and there's fewer buyers for that. So let's just say it's a year, and that's probably even getting to a point where it's maybe kind of tight. I mean, $250,000 and $750,000 I got out there. And I'm not taking averages because I won't have that 750 out there at all times, right? When I first started, I only got 500. You know, I got to work my way up to the 750. So really the average is probably going to be more like 675 on the average of the whole year. Okay? Kind of understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. All right, because I won't have that 750 out the whole entire year, right? So let's say it's even 675. Let's say 700 to make it a round number. But here's the thing is, I can go and buy 7 houses at $100,000, or say even $80,000, and I make $20,000, and I can double that and do it twice. Is that up to $250,000? That right there, if I just calculate it out properly, it's $280,000, and I don't have the risk of having all my eggs in one basket. I actually made more on doing smaller properties and less risk, a lot less risk, because I know I can get rid of those really quickly, because first-time home buyers will buy those up like crazy. Let me state another fact too as well, is that first-time home buyer houses, if you're flipping or even wholesaling, are the most important properties to key on. And I'm going to tell you the reason why. The reason why is, in every single market across the United States, that's 60%, sometimes even higher, depending on markets, especially when the interest rates drop. It gets almost up to 70, are first-time home buyers. So you're talking about the entire buying pool, always more than half of it are first-time home buyers. So if you have a house that you renovated, got done, want to wholesale out, that's a first-time home buyer type house, is it going to be easy to sell it? Is it going to be easy to wholesale it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Even if you're renting it, is it going to be easy to rent?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, it is. So always keep that in mind when you're buying properties. If you get them more time to the first-time home buyers, if you get properties that after the repair values are done, they're 150 to 250, most likely you're going to have an instantaneous sale. It's not going to be that hard because there's a lot of buyers in those price ranges for those houses. So we're going to go back into my day again. I get on a little bit of tangents here and there. I apologize. All right, so now it's about 8:35, 8:40. All right, and the next thing I do is then I go to my inventory. All right, the houses that I currently have for sale, and then I go right to the people that have shown it the previous day. All right, and then I call them. And if I can't get a hold of them by a call, then I text them. The reason why I want to do this is, one, I want to sell my houses, and if I can work out anything out with that agent, I'm always willing to try to do that. All right. The other thing I do is I say to every one of those agents, I buy houses. I don't care about the commissions. Let me know if you got something. It's another way to prospect, guys. You know, it's, again, for me, it's very natural because they're showing my houses. I'm not like going out of my way. They did something that I can actually contact them about. But why not make it twofold? One, want to sell my own house? Let's get a deal done so I can flip something. And two, do you got another one for me? And if you do, let me know, and I sell the hell out of myself. Okay? So now it's about 9 o'clock. Then I eat, dress, brush my teeth. Driver luckily lives in my house with me. Get in the car and start driving around and look at all the houses that I have on that agenda. I have that list of wholesalers too. So in between, I just start calling them up and I tell them what I think about their house, try to line it up for the next couple days and do that. And then in addition, when after I look at every single house, then I call the contact back. Whether it's a listing agent, wholesaler, sometimes the wholesalers are there at the property and I can talk directly to them. And then I'm doing that all day. So I'm prospecting all day long. And that doesn't stop the people giving me new addresses. So luckily I got a driver, sit in the back of the car with my iPad, and I just start working off the MLS. I start researching it. I'm like, okay, this seems like a good deal. I want to get on this one. Maybe I can just wedge it in today. Typically I go into every single day, and I probably add at least minimal 3 to 5 appointments. Most people can't do that. Most people are so scrambled that they can't do it because they don't have things prepared like I did. Do I have to worry about lunch, guys? All right? Do I have to worry about what I'm doing at any particular time during my day? Do I know?
Yeah.
All right? And that's why when I get into my day, believe me, people try to scramble you all day long. And I'm ready for it. I know it's going to happen. I know they're going to contact me. I want them to contact me, and I want to be as efficient and effective as possible of wedging in wherever I can fit those houses in my schedule if I think they're hot. If they're good houses, how fast do you need to look at them? Fast as you can. Because if you don't look, somebody else will. And that's why I like keeping in touch with my wholesalers. Like, I probably have at least minimal 30 wholesalers that will call me and only me first because I get there fast, I reply back. So that's another reason why I prepare so well, is I know I'm going to get blasted apart. And I'm not going to let anybody blast me apart. I'm ready. Most people in the room, you guys do not prepare well enough for your next day. And because of that, when you get into your day, you're pulled in so many different directions, and you let that be your day. All right? I do the opposite. I want to get my day and control it. All right? And that's what most people want in life. Sorry, Joey. All right? Most people want that in life, is they want that control. And people, like, they were just like, how do they do it? Because you see these guys on TV, and they're like, you can tell these guys aren't working too hard, right? And you can kind of tell they're making a lot of money, correct? All right? And it's because they lined everything up where they can do what they want to do because it's under control. Guess who the first person you have to control before you can control anybody else? That's right. And I always tell people this, especially realtors, when I can tell they're doing enough business where they need somebody to help them. I always tell them, most likely you're going to fail your employee if you're not organized. If you can't organize yourself, it's almost next to impossible to organize another. And that's one of the biggest problems. So, like, if you want to excel in anything you do and gain employees and things like that, you have to control yourself well enough to organize yourself well enough to be able to get somebody by your side that you can organize them. And then you have to duplicate it numerous times after that. And typically, the employees sometimes don't work. It's usually the employer's fault, not the employee's fault. And you gotta learn from it, and then you just hire somebody else. All right? And we can maybe get into that, a whole nother subject about getting people to work for everybody here, and how challenging and difficult that is, and what you have to do for that too as well. All right, so the question is what do I look for to flip homes? And again, it's not going to be like a real easy answer, but let's take a real typical house, okay? And something that, say you buy for 100, okay? And I put, say, 40 into it, I want to be able to sell that house for around 180, all right? So that's a very, very typical numbers. Like, that's the most typical numbers I could probably work on right now. You know, a nice like brick ranch and, any of the 3 counties, that, you can pick it up for around 100 and do the $40,000 of rehab, because that's about a month and a half, kind of rehab. And then have it up and be able to get it sold within, like, say, 5 months, sold and closed in 5 months. So that's a typical type of a flip. So that's the most typical type, but I look at anything. And my answer to most people is when they ask me, what is your buy box? Because it's a typical thing to ask somebody, right? What's your buy box? My answer is, I like to make money. That's my answer. And I like to buy in the Tri-County area. So I like to buy in Macomb, Oakland, Wayne. And I'll buy on the outskirts, like if somebody gives me something, I've done a lot of deals with them and I want to try to make it work, and you know what I mean? And I'll just make it work if I can. Because then, and the other thing is, like, if I can, like, have the wholesalers come to me because I just am trying to make deals work all the time, that's very important. Because they keep on coming to you then, because they know you take this very seriously, So, that's kind of the typical ones, but then, you have ones that are really a little bit more pricier or need much more rehab. And when you get those, I just need the spreads to be larger. And sometimes I'll get ones that are simple and easy. Like, I'm doing one that's in Detroit, and if I told you, like, what I bought it for and what I'm, doing with it, you might not say it's so great, but I bought one right around like 100, okay? It's probably only worth like 155. So like you guys are like, whoa, that doesn't seem right? Then how fast do you think I can get 10 grand worth of work done? Real fast, real quick. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it took me, weeks to get it done. You know what I mean? I did a lot of painting in cabinets. I already had granite in there, put a nice backsplash in there. Threw a floor in there, and I'm basically out. You know what I mean? I don't have to do much more than that. So if you look at something like that, where I got the property done within 1 month, and now I got, a property that I could possibly make like still $30,000 on it. It's not that bad. So we'll take the numbers again. We got 100, right? 100 purchase. All right. We got 10 grand of rehab, and you got to remember how fast I can get done, so I can get that property back up again. All right. And then you got the real estate cost on that, all right? So let's just add on another like 7-8 grand, okay? Let's say I'm all in on this place at about like let's just say 120, right? All right, just gotta go a little bit higher. And I sell for 155, does that sound all right now? But it didn't sound all right in the beginning. So that's why I'm saying I really analyze a lot of things. I analyze the time frame, how much the rehab is. Like, I look at if the house isn't so square, like it's added on numerous times, and I'm like, oh man, this rehab's gonna be a lot more, so I want my margin to be that much bigger. Maybe it's a little bit non-conforming. Maybe I'll do something with a little slimmer profit margin like the one I just did, because that's a nice square brick ranch at 8 Mile and Telegraph, full of a whole subdivision full of them. You know what I mean? So it's on a street called Burgess. I'll probably be up like next week. So like, it's the same consistent house through there. I mean, that's all they got in there. So I know what I can sell it for, so that's why it seems slim, but it's really not when you get done with it. He's saying that, what would I do in rehabs? All right, that's what you're kind of asking me. Well, let's take the typical one again, okay? The one that's $100,000, I put 40 into it, I sell for 180. Okay, let's take that one, all right? With a $40,000 rehab, I'm definitely doing kitchen, bathrooms, floors, walls, all right? I'm doing landscaping on the outside. And then typically I'm doing, even in that rehab, maybe a roof or windows or a furnace or something additional to that, okay? I like those houses, I would say it's 30, just doing kitchen, baths, floors, walls. That's it. Kitchen, baths, floors, walls is 30. I'm usually doing something else. I'm usually doing a roof or windows or a furnace. I'm not saying all of them. I'm saying one extra thing of that. Or it's electrical or it's plumbing or something. So my typical rehab is just doing 1,000 square foot brick ranch, and I'm doing kitchen, bathroom, floors, walls, 30 grand. Let's talk about me not having a dime, okay? All right, I don't have any money, and I was to start over again. All right, one, it's hard because like I know I got the knowledge, you know what I mean? But you're saying me, right?
A general person interested.
Okay, what, you want me to talk like I'm you?
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm not trying to put you down. Okay, so like, what have you done real estate wise?
Nothing.
Okay, and you haven't done anything yet.
No.
All right. So what I would tell you to do is that to go through a lot of houses, okay? And what do you want to do is a question. What do you want to do in real estate?
Fix and flip.
You want to fix and flip?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm answering your question right. You want to go through a lot of houses, all right? Do you have the knowledge yet to know what's a good deal or not?
I believe so, yeah.
And how do you know that?
The ARV,
So you've been running numbers on things, right?
no, I haven't. but-
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna do this again. You want to go through a lot of houses, all
Okay.
right? What I would tell you to do is concentrate on one area that you know you're gonna get houses in, that you're kind of familiar with. Start there. Anything that's available out there, get through it. Do you have a real estate license?
No.
Okay, that's it. That's a plus and a minus. You know, there's pluses to it, there's minuses to it. The plus is calling a lot of agents. And with those agents that you call, you're gonna talk to them and you're gonna say, I buy houses. So you say to them, hey, look, I don't care about the commissions, just wanna buy houses. Tell me if you got a good deal for me, I wanna look at it. And start looking at a lot of houses, because you're gonna make the contacts with the realtors, you're gonna look at a house and get familiar, you're gonna do the exact same thing I do. You're gonna run your ARVs before you get to the house, all right? So you actually know what it's gonna sell for, all right? Here's the other thing that you're gonna wanna do is, do you know how to calculate out a rehab yet? Okay. Do you live in a house?
No, I don't.
Okay. I think I went over this last time, but I'm gonna say it again. All right. You live in a house or don't live in a house?
No, I live in an apartment.
You live in an apartment? Do your parents have a house?
No.
Do you have a friend that has a house?
Yes.
All right. Is he a good friend?
Yeah.
All right, good. All right, so what you might want to do is, does your friend want to do this too?
Yes.
Okay, that's even better. All right, so you go to your friend and say, hey, look, we need to learn how to get a rehab done. Let's start asking people to quote stuff at your house. Quote a roof, quote the electrical, quote new cabinets in, quote paint job, quote flooring. They got all this stuff in the house, right? Cement driveway, everything. Can you get it done for free? Free quotes, everybody does them. They'll love to do it. So you actually do two things by doing this. One, you're gonna learn. Two, you're gonna get contractors when you get your first house. Because you're gonna meet people that you actually like and trust and can tell want to help you. And those could be your contractors that work on your house too as well. So that's how you learn how to do a rehab, all right? Is by those guys. So when you look at a house, you're like, I kind of get it now. The other things you could do is you could call up a home inspector. A lot of those guys know, you know, what it's gonna cost. Say, hey, look at, just run with me through these three houses, I'll pay you a couple bucks. And they might do it, you know what I mean? You know, if they're not busy. So there's a couple ways you can start figuring out what the rehab is. So now you looked at some houses, like I'm telling you to look at a lot too. Like you need to be looking at, like, I would say 20 to 30 a week. Why not? Why not get yourself real familiar and ready to buy? That's what you want to do, right? Jump into it, okay? Then once you gain the knowledge that you know you can find a good deal in a house, and you know what the rehab is, then you got to start asking for money. You got to go to everybody that you possibly know and start asking for money. As soon as you get the money, get out there and get yourself a house. And when I say get the money, you want to get somebody that's going to lend you and only offer interest unless they can bring something else to the table. When I say something else to the table, money's just money. You're just going to pay that person interest. But if it's the realtor that's helping you find the deal and they found the deal for you, man, there's a bug flying around me, Joey. What do we do? What do we do here? All right. So if they're bringing something to the deal, or like it's the contractor and he's not going to charge you, I mean, you may, and he's going to lend the money too. You just got to find the deal. I mean, he's bringing something to the table, right? That's vitally important. You know, then you can cut him into the deal percentage-wise, but I would just pay out an interest rate percentage to anybody that just gives you money. All right, and that's hard work. And when I say prospect, when you get to that point, I'm talking about really prospecting and really asking a lot of people. The easiest person to ask is someone in your family that owns their house free and clear. The reason I say this is that then they can take out a home equity loan and you can help them do it. they get to write off the interest at the end of the year on the home equity loan. You could pay them extra of what that home equity loan payment is, and so they get a huge benefit. They write off the interest and you're paying them more. And if they know you like you and trust you, they'll give you the money. All right, so that's the next step. All right, so now you got really all the steps. Now, I can say this real easy and simple. It is easy and simple, the concepts. The work itself is difficult to do all this. It's not easy, it's work. Another reason to really get yourself prepared for the following day, every single day. All right, we're gonna go back to goals, okay? Most people have yearly goals in this room, right? All right? Everybody's got these yearly goals. And I always say that's great. But the problem is with yearly goals, somebody tell me what their yearly goal is. Michael, tell me what your yearly goal is.
This year was to do at least 3 flips this year.
Okay, all right. Can you tell me what you need to do on a daily basis to be able to do 3 flips?
Find the right deal.
How many hours do you have to spend calling people?
With my job, I gotta spend more time than I do.
Okay, Michael, this is really what you're trying to say is, I really don't know how to calculate that out into the time frame, right? You don't really know.
Right.
You know that you want to put more time into doing it because you're not getting the results that you want.
Right.
How do you meet a yearly goal where you can't make a decision on what to do that day to make that yearly goal? It's difficult, isn't it? Most people cannot answer that question properly, all right? And so I say, don't worry about your yearly goal. Worry about what you need to do tomorrow, every single day.